Welcome to another episode of the Vodcast. I'm very pleased to say that joining me today are Johnny Herbert, Anthony Davidson, and from his home in Monaco, Romain Grosjean. First of all, Romain, welcome. It's the first time we've seen you during this lockdown. How are things at the moment where you are?
Yeah, things are good, to be fair. We've had to adapt to the situation and learn to give school at home for the kids, which has been probably the biggest challenge. But if not, things are good. Having fun. The weather has been pretty good, so that's obviously a bonus.
And you managed to get a haircut. I saw you celebrated that the other day.
Yeah, we had one of my son's birthday. Simon just turned 5, so yeah, it's been good, and I think we're spending a lot of time together, which is not something we're used to. So that is really good. But also I'm kind of ready to go racing.
What about homeschooling you just mentioned? What is your specialty?
Sport.
That's it. So just running around.
Yeah, I don't think patience is my number one quality, and therefore it's been challenging at some stages. But I say mathematics. I'm much better in mathematics than in French.
Yeah, I'm definitely on sports here where I live, Roman. I can feel your pain. The homeschooling is going on right now just next door. It is a challenge, definitely, being a racing driver with kids as well. I was just thinking, how many drivers on the grid actually have children these days? I know that Vettel has, Kimi has, you, of course. Do you
Sergio.
Mm-hmm.
I think Checo, Kimi, Sebastian, myself, Daniel, Kvyat.
Yeah, just.
Yeah.
And I think
and there's always this
it.
common theory that kids slow you down as a racing driver. When I'm in the car, I know that when the visor's down, you're in your own world and you don't think about anything else. What about you? Does it ever cross your mind when you're in the car?
No, to be fair, it's the same thing. When you go racing and you put your visor down, you're really into race mode, and therefore you don't really think about anything else. I mean, it's not good if you start thinking about is there enough nappy in the house, or is there enough milk when you're driving? So I guess it's obviously when you're home you are a pure father, but when you're going racing, you're a race driver, and you just focus on that.
So what else have you been up to, Romain? Because I saw you've started your own esports racing team when you're not homeschooling, doing plenty of that.
Yeah, correct. I've been following esports for some times, and obviously being home and having a bit more time and looking into it more deeply, I had the opportunity to create IAG esport team, and it's actually a really good exercise, really good adventure. Finding the drivers and the sponsors and actually being a team boss, and it's much harder than I thought it would be, but also really good fun. So following the competitions and making sure that we're all doing the right thing and getting involved as well a little bit myself on some races. So it's quite fun preparing some good races. Le Mans 24 hours. I think we will have one car down there, and it's great finding the racers, the drivers, the real one, the sim racers, and just a great experience.
What about sort of gaming? Is there any other games that you do? I know like Stoffel Van Dorn, I think I've seen him do some sort of war games. Is there any games that you play at the present time?
No, I think that would be directly a divorce. So, sim racing on its own, it takes enough time. I just need to find in a day when I can escape and go and put myself in a sim. So I want to do more than I do, and I like to be on Air Factor 2, which is where Le Mans would be, but I just don't have the time to practice. So I focus on one game, which is racing, and it's fun. I mean, it's great fun. It's very competitive. It's quite different from real life in some aspects. But I've got the driver coaching me and helping me to find out the right lines on the track and how to drive it. And it's a good challenge to try to find out how to go fast.
What setup have you got as well? Because I know you, Ant, have got an absolutely brilliant looking sim. What type of sim have you got at home? How many screens have you got on yours?
So I went for the ultra wide screen, which is a one screen, and one on top to see the times and the fuel consumptions and all the information you need to know when you're pitting and how much fuel you need to add in the car. I've got a beautiful chassis from SimLab, and I must say they do a great job. You can set up pretty much everything. And then Acer Predator being one of the sponsors, I got a nice computer, and then actually got a steering wheel which looks 100% like a Formula One racing steering wheel, which is cube. And I mean, the dash, you can just put the way you want it. It's very similar to Formula One, and I must say it's very impressive.
Roman, I think what I'm quickly learning by dabbling in a few esports as well is that there are a lot of bored race engineers out there at this time, and they are turning their attention solely to online racing games, and we're getting bombarded with data graphs. And is it the same for you, or is it just me going through this?
I think it's just, well, I haven't been there yet. Obviously, I use the data to compare myself to my teammate, and it's quite impressive, to open the data from a video game, and then you say, okay, I need to brake 10 meters later, and so on. The setup, I'm probably going to call my race engineer soon, because I need some help for our next big race.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
All right.
You'll regret it, honestly.
I'm wondering, Romain, you should give the data to the kids as part of the homeschooling. Right, come on, where can I find these extra 10?
They would be interested.
I was going to ask you, because we heard from Kevin and also from Pierre Gasly that they've managed to go karting. Pierre obviously was in Dubai before he's come back to France, and Kevin was able to go karting in Denmark. What have you been able to do, and are you jealous of them being able to get out there and just physically feel some sort of, I guess, racing?
No, I think things are starting to move in the right direction. I've got some friends that went karting last week. I didn't get the chance to go, but I think I'll go soon. I've been spending a fair bit of time on my bike at the minute, so my fitness level is great. Obviously, the big fear for the season to restart is the neck, because you can train as much as you want back home. It's never the same as racing. So that's going to be the big challenge. I think I will go karting. But it's just finding the time to do everything, and then with the kids being home, it's just it's great to do things with them. But I can't just tell my wife, oh, I'm going off for the day, see you later, and she's on her own with the 3 monkeys.
On that, Romain, obviously, we're talking at the moment about getting back to racing, plans to go to Austria at the start of July. How much contact, chairman of the GPDA, how much contact have you had with Ross, and what's the feeling at the moment? Are you speaking much to the other drivers about it?
Yeah, the GPDA group, we've got a WhatsApp group, and it's been very active, I must say. A lot of discussions on different subjects. We had a call with Formula One, Chase Carey and Ross. I just couldn't make the call. But I know Alex and Sebastian were on it, and then I got the feedback, and we're trying to be as much as we can involved, trying to help the best we can, because I think to help the teams, we need to go racing earlier than later, because obviously not doing anything costs money for nothing, and then if we can go racing, then we know what's happening. So I think everyone is doing his best. Obviously, it's very difficult to know what the situation is going to be like. We're taking a lot of measures, trying to make sure that everything is great. But maybe in July, the world will be in a much better place, and actually we can ease things up a little bit. And I think, as I said, the earlier we can go racing, the better.
And Romain, what about the GPDA itself? When I was involved in in the 90s, I always found it was a little bit of sections of drivers on the left, and there's sections on the right, and there was everybody trying to get themselves probably getting an advantage over everybody else. Is that the same now, or is everybody working together for the same aim?
Well, to be fair, since I joined Formula One, there were only two debates where we weren't on the same boat. It was the weight thing, where Felipe Massa was completely against us trying to get the seat and the driver to 80 kilos, obviously for his advantage. And then the Halo. Halo was a good split between the rooms in the room for the one for the Halo and against the Halo. Rest of the subject, to be fair, we're 100% all aligned, and I think we all going in the same direction, and we all want the best for the sports. So this is quite positive and impressive to see that we all are on the same boat to obviously to do the best, go racing and have better racing.
And what about with the FIA? How is that working out? Is it a very good working relationship you have?
Yeah, I think we do have a good relationship with FOM and FIA, and Jean Todt has been a good supporter of the GPDA, and we were well involved in the 2021 rules that now have been postponed, but we were part of the meetings, and that was good. So I think generally we're in a good place. We've been listened to, and we don't have any, as I say, we don't have any political interest or financial interest. We just want the best for the sports and the drivers.
So Roman, when you guys rock up to Austria for the first race, from a driver's point of view, what do you expect to happen? What will the protocols be, and what can the fans expect to see from the drivers?
It's going to be normal and abnormal at the same time because we're going to go back to racing and driving cars, but also we'll have limited amount of people around and no spectators, and so some things will be very, very different. Some things will be the same, but I think it's going to be good. I mean, everyone is looking forward to go back racing. Whenever I got a WhatsApp with my engineer, he's ready to go racing as much as we all are, and we want to do that. I mean, we love it, and now it's been a very long winter break. As I said, there's plenty of positives to be home and spend time with the family and so on that we don't have that much normally. But also, I can feel that I'm ready to jump in a car.
Well, I tell you, we're all ready to watch you. I know NASCAR did a race at the weekend, their first one behind closed doors, and they all turned up and got a 30-page document to read about the protocols for the weekend. So I don't know if that's what we're going to find when we get to Austria. But there's also talk, Romain, that if the UK government have this quarantine for 14 days when you get back from abroad, we may have to do 4 races in a row. How do you feel about that? What's the thought? What are your thoughts on doing 4 races, 4 weekends in a row in Europe somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, it will be hard to be a challenge, but if it's the way to make it happen, and this is the way we need to to do the best for Formula One, then be it. It's going to be hard to be aware, but we're all aware that could happen. We're enjoying the time that we have now, but obviously when we start going racing, it could be 4 races in a row in Europe. Then when we go to Asia, if we go to Asia, then is it going to be the same thing? We may be away for a month, and we just need to be prepared. I think it's going to be different. It's not going to be what we used to have in terms of racing, and then fly as late as you can and as early off as you can. But we need to go racing. We need to do the best for everyone. And if it takes a little bit of time away, then be it.
Let's have a chat with you about Haas. And last year, what a tough year for you guys. Such an unpredictable car as well. When you look back on that now, do you think that year made the whole team stronger? Do you think there's a positive that came out of last year?
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. It's been a very good learning year for all the Haas team in terms of what went right and what went wrong. I don't think everything was to bin, but the car was, but the team has really pushed hard during the whole season and understand. And I think everyone was really listening and trying to make things better. From what we saw in winter testing, we worked in the right direction. Was it quite enough or not? That we don't really know because we haven't been racing properly. But I think the whole team has been learning a lot from that year. And over the history of a new Formula One team, it had to happen, I believe, and but for the best, because now we understand better what's the situation like, what we can do, what we cannot do, and where we need to focus for the future.
And what about yourself, Romain? How do you feel about everything going into the season? Are you sort of in the best position that you've ever been as a driver? I know you've had some difficulties, but you've bounced back in a very strong way. How are you feeling at the moment?
Yeah, feeling good. I mean, obviously missing the driving, but I think I'm doing my own work. I'm trying to be at the best as I can, physically and mentally. Last year was always difficult when you have a tough car to show what you're capable of doing, because you may have a superb race, but you only finish 12th or 13th, because that's the best the car can do, and it's hard to explain. And obviously, when you're at the back, you're more open to criticizing. But I'm kind of used to that, so it's all right. It doesn't really hit me anymore. And I just want to go on track and do my job and do the best as I can.
We obviously had some big news this week with driver moves going on. Were you surprised by what happened at all, or last week even as it is now, with Seb and Carlos and Daniel? Because you guys tend to know before any of us, because you chat amongst yourselves. But were you surprised by how all that's played out?
Yeah, I was surprised by some of the decisions. In some ways, I probably wouldn't have done the same, but I think one of the big surprises was Sebastian, because I was quite convinced he would carry on with Ferrari, but I guess so that was the big surprise, and then the things unfold themselves in an interesting way. I don't think it's over. There's still a seat at Renault, and we hear the rumor of Alonso. Why not? I think there's still loads of things going on, and I don't think the saga is quite over yet.
I'm intrigued. Sorry, Rach.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued to say. I'm intrigued to say. You said you wouldn't have done things the same, Romain. I'm intrigued by that. Come on, give us a little bit of a snippet.
I would have played the puzzle a little bit differently, but I don't want to get myself into trouble.
No, sure.
But we all have our opinions, and we all have our expectations, and things. But it was interesting. I mean, there were obviously a few talks behind the scene and a few things happening, and some people have done a really good job, and interesting.
I was going to say, because I mean, from what we've heard, it's kind of the Carlos Sainz, Ferrari moving for Carlos Sainz, and then Seb not having a contract there for him for the future. Just on the Alonso point, would you want to see him back in F1? Do you think he will come back?
I don't know. To be fair, I don't know. He's obviously a great driver. He's always been trying to work very hard, but he already had a comeback at Renault. And obviously that was not the best car in 2009, and I can testify about it. But that didn't really work out. So I don't know. I mean, why not? It'd be positive for sure. But also takes a seat away, and there aren't that many seats. So it's interesting. Also with the financial situation of everyone. The teams are not in the best, or all companies around the world are not in the best situation right now. So let's see what comes out.
All right, let's move it on to where we should be this week. And of course, Monaco and the Monaco Grand Prix weekend. Unfortunately, very sadly, it's the 1 year anniversary of the passing of Niki Lauda. We all remember that day last year, of course. But they put on a fantastic race that weekend in tribute to him, didn't they? What a race it was, and performance too. Let's talk about our Monaco. Well, we're going to come to Monaco memories, because I'm sure we've all got some great Monaco memories. And Romain, you must have some, even if it's not on track, some great off-track Monaco memories. But we wanted to ask you, first of all, for your Monaco dream team, if you like. So if you had a team in Monaco, who would be your team principal? Pick one driver and pick one car to dominate around the Principality. So Romain, I hope you've been asked to have one ready. For your face tells me not. So why don't I come to Johnny first? And let's ask Johnny first. Johnny, who would be your team principal? Who would be your driver, and what car would they be driving?
Well, I'd go for Peter Collins, because Peter Collins was very instrumental in my career, but obviously he is a very nice guy as well, and ran Benetton in the 80s in a very, very good way. From a car perspective, I would have the Benetton B186 with the BMW engine in it. That was a total beast. Now, trying to drive that through the streets of Monaco would thoroughly interest me. And Graham Hill. I think Graham Hill, obviously, sort of the king of Monaco, is the obvious choice for me.
Okay, and who would be your team?
I've gone a little bit left field here, Rach.
There's a surprise.
Monaco is all about the entertainment, all about the show, the glitz and glamour away from the track. So I'm thinking on track, a guy that always excelled there, is full of flair, was Pastor Maldonado. So he'd be my driver, but he would need to be carefully managed. And Pastor was always at his best, as we know, when he was happy. So as a team principal, someone to get the best out of Pastor, keep him in the right zone for the whole weekend, it's got to be Eddie Jordan. So the two of those together, great combo. They'd be in the same wavelength throughout the weekend. And the car, just to give that little bit of spice, be a McLaren MP44. Manual HPAD gearbox. We've all seen that lap of Senna's around there. And I think Pastor behind the wheel in Monaco, a place where he always shone, with Eddie Jordan managing him, would be just pure entertainment.
Oh dear,
on and
Romain.
off the track.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Romain, you wouldn't want to be a part of that team, would you? Romain, your team, your driver, and the car you'd love to have around Monaco.
All right, so the driver I would have taken Graham Hill anyway, so I'm joining Johnny on that one. The car, I'm gonna go for the Renault R26. That looked great around Monaco. The team principal is a tricky one, obviously. I don't know. I think
obviously you choose Cyril, but you can choose someone else today for this.
Yeah, good. I'll go. I don't know. Maybe Colin Chapman, back in the days, light cars, but faster on the street circuits. So good vision.
Good choice.
Brilliant. I went for Ayrton Senna. I mean, I obviously romantic in me. Ayrton Senna in the MP44 would be my choice. But I was trying to work out, would I be allowed to have Alain Prost as the team principal? Because I'd quite like to see him being the team principal for Ayrton Senna.
That would be a good one. Very good.
I thought it would be fun. If not, I was going to say, I guess Ron Dennis is most successful, isn't he? Although Toto's got the best win percentage. So, but if you're looking at the romantic in you, I might even go for Frank Williams, really.
Yeah, sure.
For that history and have him in charge. Great stuff. Right, I need a personal memory from you all. Something that's happened in Monaco. It doesn't have to be a race memory. It could be after hours, as long as you keep it PG.
Okay, yeah.
Johnny, what would be your memory?
Right, my memory is a little bit of an embarrassing memory. It's between the paddock and Fonvier, which is where I used to frequent and live. There's a little tunnel that I used to use my Ducati 916 to go to the circuit and then back home in the evening. And when I left on, I think, a Saturday night, I think it was, there was always a policeman where the gate was, where you joined the road. And as I came up to the gate, he just stuck his arm out and said, "Stop." And then he just told me to go back again. But it's on a big, steep sort of part of the road. Now, I've only got little legs. The Ducati is sort of quite high. I then had to maneuver backwards to try and turn. But of course, it's like that. My leg didn't reach the ground. The bike went down. I tried to hold it up. The throttle opened at the same time. I tried to lift it back up again. I was stuck then underneath it. Mr. Policeman didn't come to help me at all. So it was a very embarrassing situation.
You're lucky that happened back then, Johnny, because before, you could have been a YouTube sensation.
Yeah.
Because no doubt he would have got the camera out and started filming it.
Would have been now, yes, definitely so, yeah. Oh, dear.
You must have lots of great memories. I know, obviously, you live there, but in terms of around the race weekend or the glitz or the glamour, or it could be a race memory itself.
Yeah, I think it's the 2011 GP2 race where in quali we had a miscommunication with my teammate, and I went on top of him, so that didn't go well. So I started 26th, and obviously it's Monaco, so you can't really overtake. But for some reason, every time I was reaching the back of a driver, it was pitting, and kept going and kept going and kept going, and then I don't know, it ended up, I probably did one or two overtaking maneuver during the whole race, and I finished fourth. and in all honesty, if you ask me what happened in that race, I don't know. I was just driving, and as I say, every time I was reaching a guy, it would pit, and there were probably one behind me that was following me, but not that fast, and all pile up, and I came out of the pit and was fourth, and from 26th to 4th in Monaco, it's pretty good.
Did you get a chance to watch it back and see what happened?
No, I did not. I should. 10 years later to have a laugh.
Great stuff. And what's your memory?
My memory was back in 2004, in the V10 era. I was doing the Friday test driving at the time for BAR Honda. And so Monaco was always going to be the real challenge for my first year of, proper test driving and going through all the circuits in the third car. And I think the whole team were kind of waiting to see how it was going to go. Were you going to crash on your first lap around this daunting track? But I was slowly getting into the rhythm. I'd been out there a few extra laps than anyone else because the Friday runners got a lot more, they had a lot more tyres available. So you were going round and round and round. And then Schumacher comes out the pits just in front of me. So I was already in the groove by this stage. And just to follow that red Ferrari around with the master behind the wheel, just kind of in a way it was like showing me where to go and all the little tricks that he had around the track. And I remember I followed him for a good couple of laps. In the beginning I was a little bit quicker, and then as he got up to speed and found his rhythm, he started edging away. And but that was a real memory for me. It's like embedded in my brain now as just how cool that was. I remember thinking, God, I'm in Monaco, there's Schumacher in front in the Ferrari. It's so cool. So it's a real great memory for me around that track.
I picked two, which is just being greedy. One is on track, and it would of course be Jules Bianchi's point for Marussia in 2014, which was just an incredible moment. I mean, we'd all got to know that team so well by that stage, and we knew how much that point meant to them, and it was a real spark in this talent we'd heard about Jules, and it was, I think it was just a fantastic weekend, and it was a great moment. But off track, my first year there, I didn't realise that you can't get a French taxi in Monaco. You have to get a Monaco taxi, and we were staying in Nice as a team, and we'd ended up going to Amber Lounge, as you do on a Sunday evening. And first year there, I wasn't quite sure what was going on, and then one of the girls we worked with and I went, had a great time, came out, couldn't get a taxi anywhere. Kept trying to get taxis, no chance. We needed a taxi to go back to Nice. And we ended up sitting in a hotel reception till about an hour before the flight was leaving in the morning, trying to get a taxi back to Nice. And a businessman was leaving for the airport and said we could jump in his taxi back to Nice. And finally, eventually, got a taxi back to the airport first, where he paid. We then got to our hotel, and the taxi driver charged my friend €100. And she got out, and then I got out at my hotel 2 minutes down the road, and he charged me another €100 before I could get out of the car. So we were €200 down. We left a lot of clothes behind because we didn't have enough time to pack, and just made it to the airport, which pretty much sums up the Monaco week, I think, for a lot of people. But we made it, and we got back. Listen, Romain, it's fantastic to see you and to hear from you. Thank you very much for joining us on this vodcast today. Good to see you, and we hope to see you in a paddock very, very soon.
Yes.
All right, take care. Listen, we've got lots of great stuff coming up for you this week. Lots of memories of Niki Lauda. We've got a special tribute programme to him coming up as well. Max and Christian are in the watch-along from Hockenheim last year, that incredible race. That's on at 8 p.m. this evening, and plenty of Monaco specials for you as well. And another podcast on Friday. Ant and Johnny as well, thank you very much for your company today, and we will see you very soon. Stay safe and stay well. Bye-bye.